Everyone to our October state call. Now, our next state call, we're going to take a break in November because the fourth Wednesday actually falls on the day before Thanksgiving. So I think what we'll do is we'll skip the November call, but we'll come back on in December, since the fourth Wednesday in December is the 27th, which will be after Christmas, in between Christmas and New Year. So we'll shoot for our next call then will be in December 27th. Just also remind everybody that we are recording these calls, and I'll send out a YouTube link as well as posting the calls to our Indiana leaders site, and we're going to talk about that a bit a little later on in the call. So let's go ahead and get started here with our agenda for this evening. We're going to just briefly cover the vision and mission statement. We're going to do that on every call, just to keep that fresh in everyone's mind. We're going to talk about the leadership gathering this Saturday. We're going to touch on new leaders and co-leaders that have joined in the month of October. Few things about the Indiana Leaders site that we've put on the site that I want to call to everyone's attention. Quick organizational update. And then the crux of our call this evening is going to be concerned with district captains and region captains and what we think the DCs and RCs should be doing. So what should I be doing? And we'll get into that. And then we'll do the team reports, and we'll look at our tracking summary, which we always do on every call, but we'll go over that for the month of October. Our vision statement. Once again, this statement. This is how we want to see someday in the state of Indiana once we've accomplished everything that we've set out to accomplish, and that vision is to build a Hoosier grassroots community of citizens and legislators dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. That's what we envision, and that's what we look and want it to be someday. All right. Now, in the meantime, our mission statement, which is what we want to accomplish by a certain date, which is June 30th of 2018. And by then, we want to have all the support positions filled, including region captains, and 70% of all district captain positions filled. We have 100 districts in the state of Indiana, so that means we want to have 70 district captains in place by June 30th. Next, we want to strengthen legislator relationships by conducting 2 quarterly legislator meetings in each district between now and June 30th. We want to grow the grassroots to 50,000 supporters. Right now, we're right around 20,000, so we've got a long way to go. And we want to conduct some type of ongoing educational meeting in each region between now and June 30th. So some type of educational meeting in each region. All right, let's talk about our gathering coming up Saturday. David and I are putting the final touches on the gathering, and David's put together a great agenda. Then that has been posted to Slack as well as emailed to everyone. David has also posted on Slack some instructions on how to get to the room that we're going to be in, because this church is quite large. So you need to go in a particular door and down a particular hallway. So look for those directions. Again, he's got them on Slack, and as well as the agenda. We're in the process of calling those that haven't replied to the evites, trying to get an idea whether they plan on attending or not. So I think am I right, David? I think we're up to like 42 right now.
Yes, and I'm just looking at it, and I just sent a message, by the way, about the directions to all of the people that responded yes, and the 2 that responded maybe. Oh, I'm sorry, we're up to 44 now.
Oh, really? Well, cool. These phone calls that we've been making are very interesting. Of course, I get voicemail most of the time, but other times I get a hold of people, and I've had some very interesting conversations. You know, most people had other obligations Saturday, but we've had a few that have decided to, in fact, come to the gathering. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to have a Skype interview with Mark Meckler. And we're going to have, of course, Senator Travis Holdman there to say a few words to us, as well as Diane will be there with us. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time to meet and greet, and that's the main purpose of this whole gathering. So look forward to seeing you all there. New leaders this month, I only have one to report, and that's Ken Kashiba. I didn't see Ken. Ken, are you on this evening? I didn't see him on the list. I was hoping he would be on with us tonight. But Ken was our state videographer, and discussing and talking with Ken, it sounded like he had some good background that we could use in this position of State Communications Director. Or, excuse me, that should be State Communications Coordinator. I have that wrong. SCC. Now, this is what we used to call the Digital Marketing Coordinator position. It's been changed to State Communications Coordinator. So I was hoping Ken would be on tonight with us, but evidently he's not going to be able to make it. But so in the month of October, we've added basically Ken in the position of SCC. The Leaders site, the Indiana Leaders site, I wanted to call your attention to some things that we've added to that site in the month of October. Once again, this Leaders site is a resource, a place of resources for all of our district captains, region captains, and all of our support personnel for you to reference whenever you have a need. And we've added some items this month on the resources and training page of the Leaders site. We've added a Slack training video. And I've been looking for this for some months. I knew it was out there, and I finally found it. And it's about an hour-long video. I'm going to take the time to look at it myself so I can learn more about Slack, because we want to get everybody, all leaders in the state, on Slack, and it's imperative to understand how that program works. So again, that's on the Leaders site for everyone to reference and view as time permits. Then on the page entitled Videos, Letters, and Pictures, we've got a picture there of a new district captain Joyce Foreman, who's the new district captain in District 42, along with her co-leader, co-district captain, Charlie Jones. And I think the picture I put on there, I think even has David in the picture. And they're all standing behind the information table that they manned during a recent festival in Montezuma, Indiana. I think that was the Covered Bridge Festival. And so hats off to Joyce and Charlie, new district captain, really stepping out there and setting up an information table at this festival to gain more signatures and more supporters for Convention of States. And we need to do more of that. That's just one way of getting more and more supporters and helping us to achieve that 50,000 goal by the end of June next year. Then another picture I put on the site is a picture of District Captain Gary Harbaugh, who is a district captain for Districts 80 and 84 in Region 3 with Paul Phillips. And this is a picture of a recent presentation at the Georgetown location here in Fort Wayne, where Gary led the meeting that evening and made a really, really good presentation. Very unique way that he did that. So take a look at the picture. And once again, these are activities. These are town hall meetings. These are, again, something we're trying to do in every region between now and the end of next year. So I just wanted to call your attention to that. If you don't have access to this site, let me know, because it's email driven. And I've emailed links out to everyone, but you may have misplaced it. So if you don't have that link, let me know. Excuse me. Let me know, and I'll get another link mailed to you. All right. Give you a quick breakdown on our state and region and district breakdown. We're, as you can see, we've got the 9 regions and the districts assigned to each region. The districts highlighted in red are districts where we have a district captain. The others without a district captain. So right now we're at 42. We need to meet our goal by June 30th of next year. We need to get to 70 as far as district captains are concerned, and we need to then fill all the region captain positions. Okay, any questions so far? Anybody have any questions? Okay, David, anybody saying anything or asking anything?
No.
No. All right. Well, let's get into the main thing we wanted to talk about tonight. You know, David and I attend a lot of national calls, and sometimes they seem to be so many, they really consume a great deal of time. But some of the calls that I'm on, there are a lot of state directors on the calls. And I hear this comment frequently that they've lost district captains or they've lost region captains because they did not know what they were supposed to do. And I just find that very alarming. But evidently that is a prevalent reason that people use to resign from these positions. Well, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Well, in Indiana, we want to make sure that our district captains and our region captains know what they should be doing. So we're going to go over this very quickly here. Now, again, both of these for the district captain and region captain, these are on the leader's site, along with our expectations document for each of these positions. But once again, this is a separate document that is on the leader's site and goes into a little more detail. But we're going to go very quickly through these because I want everyone to know this. If you're a district captain, we want you should be identifying with your state representative and state senator. You should be setting up personal meetings with them. You should start if you haven't already, you should start developing a relationship with that legislator so they know your name when it comes to Convention of States. Educate yourself. And you can do that. There are training videos on our leader site. There's certainly training programs through Convention of States University. I would also recommend Hillsdale College if you haven't already utilized that source. So educating yourself is very, very important to this because you're the one that needs to be the expert to represent and talk to your legislators, as well as supporters and the public. Communicate with your district using MailChimp. Now, MailChimp is a program, an email program that we've made available to to region captains and state leaders. So if you're a district captain, you need to be communicating using this program, and you do that by you compose an email that you want to send out, and you send that to your region captain. If you don't have a region captain, then you send it to David or I, and then we will then get it submitted through the MailChimp program and sent out to your supporters in your district. Now, we used to have the capability of doing this through Nation Builder, but we lost that capability. So that's why we've had to go to an outside program to do this blast email. It used to be called a blast email, where we would send out an email to all of our constituents in our particular district. So that's the way you communicate with your with people in your district. Establish a monthly district communication. So every month you need to be communicating with the people in your district just to keep Convention of States and to keep your name on their minds. Contact each of your volunteers in your district, people that have indicated they're willing to volunteer, and talk to them. See if you can utilize them to help you in whatever and all these things that you're trying to do in your district. Use Slack. Be contactable. We literally do have some district captains that we can't contact them, or they won't respond to us. We need the district captains to be, for lack of a better term, contactable. And support any requests from the leadership, be it the region captain or state leadership. Organize town hall type meetings to educate your followers and the public. And those can be meetings at a local library, or can be in your living room if that's what you would like. And if this is not something that you like to do or don't feel comfortable doing, find someone in your district that has a knack for doing this or that enjoys doing this, and get them involved. Appoint a co-leader. find someone in your district that will act as your co-leader, and maybe that person would be interested in doing some of these items. So you don't have, as a district captain, you don't have to do everything on here. You just have to get everything on here done. So are there any questions on this?
Hey, Dale, this is Paul.
Yeah.
I wonder if we need to add another task here, and that's making first contact with volunteers through the follow-up tool.
We could do that, yeah. Yes. That's a good point.
Thank you.
The follow-up tool, we would like to get district captains, region captains involved in, okay, let me think about this here. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to have to, we've kind of rehashed that a few times, Paul, and I want to, before I say, I better hold off before I say something definite on that.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to hold off on that right now.
Hey, Dale, this is Tim.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment here. I think one of the issues is captains may not be knowing that they can use the follow-up tool or how to use the district dashboard. So when you say educate yourself, I just want to put in a plug here that I put a thing out on the state leaders board that says if any of the district captains want to know how to use that, I'll be glad to give them training on it.
Okay.
So I just want to say this is what they should be doing. They could contact me and I could give them training on that.
Well, thank you. That's a good point. I would also mention that there is a follow-up tool training video on the leaders site. So there is a training video available there for the follow-up tool. But Tim, as one of our SIAs, contact him if you would like some one-on-one training. Okay. All right, let's talk about what then, as a region captain, what should you be doing? You should be seeking qualified supporters to fill district captain positions, if you have any open, which there are open districts in every region. You need to set up a communications with your district captains. Monthly communications with the people in your region, once again, using MailChimp. Support state director requests. Now this next one's very important. You have to serve as the district captain for districts in your region without a district captain. So you are the district captain until you get a district captain in place. Establish goals for your region based on our mission statement. So you take our mission statement; those are goals and objectives for the state. So as a region captain, then you take those goals and you break those down to your region and set those goals and communicate those goals throughout your region and to your district captains. And then monitor your district's performance. Monitor how those goals are being achieved. Utilize Slack and other video conference or other means of communication with state and national leadership. And then finally, appoint a co-leader. And that was one also as a district captain to appoint a co-leader. So both district captains and region captains, we want them to appoint co-leaders, and that's something that we want everyone to have done by the end of this year, to have co-leaders in place. Any questions on this? All right. So now you know what you should be doing as a district captain, and as a region captain. All right, is Jerry Rowe on tonight? I don't think I saw him earlier. Jerry was going to, our SIA team, which is Jerry Rowe and Tim Heidenreich, Jerry was going to give us a little brief update on Citizen Builder. He gave me a few comments as of last week. I won't read the whole thing to you, but basically the Citizen Builder is, like we've heard many times, is due to be released very soon. One thing that I did want to, they're involved in some final revisions. They've been working on some LAPD revisions. I'm not sure what that all involves, but I will say that we've identified some people we've been asked to identify, I should say, in each state, some people called early adopters. These will be the first people to receive the new website, Citizen Builder, and to get their feedback. So David and I are early adopters, and we've then identified our SIA team, and also Paul Phillips has been identified as an early adopter. Did you know you're an early adopter, Paul?
Yeah, I've always been an early adopter, Dale.
Yeah, okay.
I've adopted 3 kids already, so I'll adopt anything.
No, not that kind of adopter. Not that kind of adopter. But, okay, good. Well, so aren't we lucky that we're going to be the first ones to see this new system, I guess, and be overwhelmed. But I expect this to be rolling out here any day, quite honestly, so stay tuned. All right. How about an update now from our legislative liaison team, which is Paul Phillips, Rachel Kessler, and Jack Dirth. So, Paul, you have some comments you want to make tonight?
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're planning on taking advantage of the gathering this Saturday. So Jack and Rachel and I will have a chance to meet face-to-face to work out some of the issues of strategy and what we're doing. But generally what we've done so far is Rachel and I have been covering the legislative liaison calls on Thursday night, just keeping up there. Jack is wanting to focus on just meeting with the legislators, and so that's probably a good division of labor there. And in the meantime, I've met with am working on legislator meetings. I've met with Ben Smaltz, who is actually my representative, and he was one of Indiana's delegation to the simulated convention. So we had a very good about hour-long meeting, talked a lot about the simulated convention and some other things. And I know that Jack and Rachel, since they both live in the same area, have gotten together. And Rachel, I'll let you comment. The two of you went to the State House, I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did. We went to the State House several weeks ago. I had never been down there, so I was just kind of hoping to get the lay of the land.
Okay, so
yeah,
that's kind of where we're at, Dale. I see that you also have on here the issue of self-governance, and self-governance activism, I guess, is what we're calling the project. And a couple of weeks ago on the legislative liaison call, Mark Meckler was the special guest, and he talked a lot about the vision of creating this grassroots army, and after we go to convention, what he wants to see is that we've created a bunch of self-governing activists who are very active in their state politics on issues important to them. And he made it very clear that this isn't top down. It's not like the Convention of States is going to tell us what to get behind and what not in our states. That's our business in our state. And particularly in the past states, we'd like to start practicing that. So Rodney Huckleberry is leading an effort of this self-governance activism, and it is going to take some time to kind of flesh it out and figure out how we may learn of issues in our state that come before the legislature that our grassroots may be interested in becoming active in. So we're going to try and exercise that skill of self-governance with our grassroots volunteers.
Okay, Paul, if I understand this right, then basically we're talking about picking certain issues that we can be active, or we can discuss with our legislators.
Yeah,
in addition to Convention of States, basically.
Right, but you know, it's a little trickier than that, in terms of trying to figure out which issues to maybe make our grassroots aware of if they want to engage in. So, for example, and you know this, Dale, I was talking to Ben Smaltz, and as part of the conversation, which, by the way, when any of you meet with legislators, I think it's always a good question to ask, what is your biggest legislative priority for this next session? You know, don't just talk about what we want from them, but try to learn what's important to the legislator. And Ben heads the committee, I forget the name of it, but what's coming before him this next term is the constitutional carry bill. And that's an important bill to him. He says he's got the votes for it, both in his committee and on the floor, but one of his oppositions is law enforcement. So he indicated that it would be helpful if any of our volunteers who are in favor of the constitutional carry bill would contact their local sheriff or police chief, and just like you would a legislator, after all, they're elected officials too, and let them know that you're in support of that. And so I use that just as an example. We're not charging ahead with that at this point. We still need to define how we're going to do that, but that's an example.
What is the constitutional carry bill? What's that about?
Okay, so in Indiana, if you want to carry a handgun, you need to apply for a license to carry a handgun. And there's a fee that you pay for it, and you go through a background check. Constitutional carry would say that an Indiana resident, as long as they have an Indiana ID, like a driver's license, they're okay to carry a handgun, and they don't need the license for it in the state of Indiana. But
now I don't own a gun, so
okay.
Do you have to get a? Are you saying you have to get a permit to buy a gun? Then you have to get a permit
to buy, to carry.
Just to carry it, either open or concealed. And so, and he gave me the example. So what happens today if, let's say I get pulled over for a traffic stop on speeding or something? Not like that's ever happened.
Yeah, right.
Actually happened about a month ago. But so when I'm pulled over and the officer calls up on his computer my driver's license, there's a field on there that would say Paul has a license to carry a handgun. Okay? So what's that to the officer? It's nothing. So what Ben wants to do, if you have constitutional carry, the issue of whether you have that license or not doesn't matter, but he'd rather have it on their screen say, identify if this guy's a felon or not. So then he knows, okay, this guy's a felon, he is not allowed to carry a handgun. So if the officer would come up for speeding and he looks over and sees, let's say, a handgun on my passenger seat, that's not probable cause for him to ask if I'm a felon or not. And there's a Supreme Court case around this that he explained. So But if in Indiana we would put on the officer's screen, hey, this guy's a felon, when the officer goes to the car, he sees the gun, then he's got probable cause to say, hey, you're a felon, you shouldn't have that gun. It's kind of reversed. If you want to control the people who shouldn't have a gun, you don't make the people who it's okay to have a gun go through all the extra steps. Now, that wouldn't eliminate the need for the Indiana license to carry a handgun, because you still need that for reciprocity if you travel and go to other states. Like, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, they all honor the Indiana license. So you're legal to carry in those states as well. So constitutional carry means you don't have to get that license, but then you're only good in the state of Indiana. It doesn't help you as you travel in other states.
Okay.
Are you regretting you asked me about all those?
And you're saying law enforcement is opposing this?
Yeah. I always like this quote. I think it was J.P. Morgan. He said, "A man does things for two reasons. The first is a good one. The second is the real one." So with law enforcement, he said the first thing they say is they're concerned about officer safety. Well, that's really not an issue, because if the officer looks and sees I have a license to carry a handgun, he knows I don't have any convictions and there's nothing to worry about. So anyway, officer safety is the good reason. One of the real reasons is the revenue from people applying for the license. It's millions of dollars a year. But the argument is people will still purchase those licenses so they have the reciprocity in other states. So he doesn't think it's really going to affect that. Okay. So I know this is way too much in the weeds for...
Well, I was going to mention, Paul, in Indiana, this is up until about a dozen years ago, you had to renew every 4 years, which is one of the things that helped the revenue. And then Indiana went to a lifetime registration, and I think at the time I did it, it was probably $110 or $120. So there is that factor, and a true constitutionalist would argue that we shouldn't even be made to pay that. But it seems like, at least in the state of Indiana, we're making progress. It wasn't that many years ago that we didn't have reciprocity with Ohio, and I'm not sure that we do yet with Pennsylvania. So if you're driving 4 or 5 states away and you have a handgun, you run the risk of being in trouble for being in a state that doesn't recognize Indiana. So it's a multi-tiered problem, and I think Paul's suggestion to find the people who might have a say one way or the other and cultivate their friendship long enough to understand their point of view.
Okay, we got into the weeds here, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Sorry.
Dale, let me wrap this up with one statement. So this is a good example issue that if we brought it to our grassroots and made them aware of it, Convention of States would say, this is a big issue in this session, so if you have a strong opinion either for or against, this is the issue, contact your legislator or whoever you want to. So because our grassroots aren't going to always agree on everything. If you've noticed that, we don't always agree on everything. So we may have grassroots that support this and want to express that. We may have those who are opposed to it, and they should express that too with their legislators. The whole idea is teaching people to be self-governing activists, and not for COS to take a position one way or the other on the issue.
But Paul, these topics that are going to be identified as self-governance activism topics, these could also be topics that we could hold town hall meetings around, right?
Absolutely, and just educate people on both sides of the issue.
And while we're, in other words, the hook that we talked about to get people to attend these meetings, So where we discuss this particular issue, but also we talk about Convention of States a little bit too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other piece of this is why I think it's important when you meet with the legislator to ask them their priorities. So I learned this from Ben, that this bill is important to him. Well, the sponsor of this bill, the author, is Chris Judy. And Chris does not support us, okay?
That's right.
But here's an issue that I can get a meeting with Chris now. Hey, Chris, I'd like to meet with you, talk a little about Convention of States, but I understand your bill's coming before Ben's committee. I had a talk with him, you know, those kind of things. So
excellent.
Just thought I'd share that.
Sue Glick wouldn't be in favor of this, would she?
I'll find out. She hasn't returned my call yet for a meeting, but I'll keep after her.
All right. All right. Okay, Paul, thank you very much for that update. Thank you.
Thanks for your patience on
it. Okay, let's go on. Comms team. Like I said, I was hoping Ken would be on the call tonight, but he's not. Right now, we have two people on this team, Ken and Rachel Kessler. Rachel is also, as you know, is on the Legislative Liaison team, but Rachel is the creative writer for the comms team. And as I mentioned earlier, we won't dwell on this, but this is going to become a very important team when Citizen Builder is in place. This team is going to be very, very important to us. So we're trying our best to get some of the other positions filled on this team, such as a Facebook editor, a webmaster, media liaison. We've lost our media liaison. He moved to another state, so we're looking for a media liaison. We may have a videographer is also on this team, which Ken was, and we may have that position filled. We haven't got it finalized quite yet. So that's basically where we are on the comms team. Coalitions team. I want to show you something here that this team nationally, what they're trying to do, and I hope this hyperlink here works. I tried to set up this fancy-dancy hyperlink, and what I want to talk about here is something called Faces for COS. And this is a page on the cosaction.com website right now. And this is where they're creating coalition pages, if I can just put it that way, where we have physicians for COS, where we have truck drivers for COS, where we have teachers for COS, where we're displaying and putting out there the coalitions that we have developed that support Convention of States. And this can be very important to you as you're talking to your state legislators, that for them to know that we have coalitions that are supporting Convention of States. What I've pulled up here now is the physicians for Convention of States. And there's former Senator Tom Coburn. Of course, you know he's a doctor, was a former physician. And so he's on here. But I want to show you down here, I want to show you some pictures of other physicians that have agreed to put their picture on this page for the physicians for Convention of States. And this gentleman right here is Dr. Dan Stock, and he is from Indiana, and he is a volunteer in District 88. So Dan has agreed to put his picture on this page, and he's made a few comments, of course, in favor of Convention of States. So I wanted to show that to you, And I want to ask you that if you know anyone that you think might be interested in providing their picture for one of these coalition pages, be it a truck driver, be it a teacher, anything. If you know of someone, please speak up, and we will try and get and let you know what you have to do to perhaps get them submitted to be considered for this. So I wanted to show that. Anybody have any questions on that?
Hey, Dale, I had a comment.
Yeah.
Dr. Dan was also very instrumental during the 2016 surge effort when we were lobbying to get the resolution passed. So he was down there in the hallways, knocking on the doors and talking to the people, or talking to the legislators. So he's a really, really motivated individual. Great guy.
He is. I wish we could get him more involved, but I think his time's pretty limited. So, okay, thanks, David. Thank you. So once again, I think this is very exciting, and I think it's really cool, and I think it's going to be very impressive, and hopefully in Citizens Builder that these coalition pages will be easier to present and made more prevalent. So if you know of anybody, let us know. Okay. Grassroots team. George, are you on tonight? I didn't see your name on here. I don't know where George is tonight. George Ward is our grassroots coordinator, and we also have someone now helping George specifically with the follow-up tool. And Paul, that's why I'm holding back a little on the follow-up tool issue, because I want to see this person get more and more involved. Her name is Dale. It's a female Dale. Dale Hensley. She lives in Columbia City, Indiana, and we're getting her more and more involved in working the follow-up tool, because it's just so difficult to stay on top of that. So the other thing that I wanted to mention to you with regard to grassroots, you may have heard already, but we just as a group, Convention of States, just went over the 3 million supporter mark. As a matter of fact, we went over that mark a couple of weeks ago. I think we're up to 3.1, maybe 3.2 million now. So it's continuing to grow, and that's a very impressive number. I don't know this factually. I was told by a previous officer in Convention of States that our group is only second to the Salvation Army in this country with regard to the number of supporters and volunteers. I don't know if that's a fact, but that person did the research and said that we're second to the Salvation Army. So nationally, we're going to get some more and more attention on this. I can assure you, once the word gets out. But that's a very impressive number. Okay, let's look very quickly here at our tracking summary for the month. Again, here on the left side of this summary is the monthly numbers. Then we convert those to year-to-date, which August 1st is where we started from. So it's August, September, and October would be the October year-to-date numbers here. And on the right-hand side are the goals that we're trying to achieve. Once again, this summary is on the leader's site, so you can go and on the leader's site and look at this when you get a chance. But for the month of October, these are the petition signings by region for the month of October, the legislator meetings for the month of October, and as far as I know, Paul's meeting with Representative Smaltz is the only one that I'm aware of. Please let me know if I've missed one or missed any. Educational meetings, again, I know the town hall meeting here in Paul's region, and then, of course, Bob Hall, his grassroots group down in the southern part of the state. These are monthly meetings that take place.
Hey, Dale.
Yeah.
This is David. I went to that GOP meeting here in Franklin Township and saw my state senator Aaron Freeman, and that was just last week. So would that count?
Well, did you meet with him and talk with him very long, or was it a?
We just went in there and reestablished, shook hands, and I mentioned to him our leader gathering and invited him personally to come to our leader gathering, and he asked me to send him an email, and I see that he still hasn't opened it, but nevertheless.
Okay, David, we'll give you credit for that.
Oh, good.
What region are you in?
I forget anymore.
Okay. All right. So then I've taken those numbers and then applied them to the year-to-date numbers, and this is where we stand year-to-date with petition growth and so forth and so on. And again, those are the goals over to the right here. I want to recognize a couple down here. District 65 led the districts for the region in petition growth with 22. So that was the leading district in the state. We don't have a district captain in that district, but I forgot to put in here that's Bob Hall's. That's in Bob Hall's region, but we don't have a district captain. And then the region leading the state for the month of October is, again, Region 4. They led in September also. And Josh Plew is the region captain for Region 4. So good job, guys and girls. We got to keep going here. We're not achieving the goals that we've set out to achieve. We're making very slow progress here, so we really got to pick up the pace. But I know everyone's trying, and we got to just keep plugging away at it. Anybody have any questions on the tracking summary here? All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up then for the evening with another quote that I came across. This is from Ben Franklin. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. So I love quotes from like Ben Franklin, James Madison. They really, I really find them very, very interesting. So, any questions or comments, Dave? David?
No, not at the moment.
Nothing left?
Yeah, I'm out.
All right, everyone. Have a good evening, and hope to see you all Saturday. So, have a good evening. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Dale.